Yeah, tzarich lahavin. So the second paragraph is Zion. So he's saying that there is two levels of birur. There's removing the psoilus, the waste, and then there's a birur within the meichel itself, even that which is fitting for consumption, it's good. There's a further birur, and this parallels Ganded Tachten, and Ganded Elyon, which parallels Yaakov and Yisrael, which parallels the neshama invested in the guf, the regel of the neshama, and the neshama, the sherish l'mayla. All of these parallel each other. The shaila was, however, so this answered what kind of birur are we doing on Shabbos? There's no birur. The answer is taka, no birur apsoilis, but birur within kedusha gufa, yes. And then he added that the birur is, and likewise lasid love, the transition from Zman HaGolus to lasid love will require a birur also. Now, the Rebbe says in the Kotei Torah that the birur will be through the revelation of neshamas chadoshes, which we explained yesterday. And now the question: Achsarich lahavin mao inyan birur neshama achas al yedei neshama acheres. What is the inyan of one neshama? We explained one level of the neshama refining another. The lechayre, it would appear that inyan abirur b'negeya lebehem. So behem has to be refined and elevated. As we do the literal inyan of eating. That what does it do? It elevates food. First of all, we eat creatures, but moreover, the whole inyan of eating is a thing that a behemoth does. So there's that aliyah, or there's the way the mizbeach consumes the food, the way the Jew does, the way the mizbeach does, which is karbonis. What we're doing is we're elevating the animal, talking specifically about eating meat, which is the coarsest kind of consumption. What we're doing is we're elevating the behemoth to its source in the angels, the chayis of the Merkava that bear aloft the chariot. Pnei Shoir, the Shoir is on the right side, right there, four. Pnei Shoir, Pnei Aryeh, a lion, an eagle, and Pnei Adam. So they all become incorporated in the highest face of the four, and that's the Pnei Adam, the face of a man. That's the four faces. But moreover, we say the mizek, and even moreover, as explained elsewhere, Maamar of the Mittel Rebbe, even this level is still part of the Chayes HaKodesh. So at least in Shabira de B'chinas Adam Elyon Shalakise, there's a further elevation, and that's the Adam Elyon, that's basically Atzilus, which sits upon the throne. So the stringing of Adam, there's the Adam as the face, it's one of the creatures that carry the chariot, and then there's the Kisei, and then there's Adam Shalakise. Shalagabav, compared to this Adam, the level of Adam Elyon, Nichshavim Pnei Adam Shemerkava, relative to the Pnei Adam Sha'alakise, so the Madrega of Adam, which is found or manifested in the Merkava, is Kamishar Chayis and Merkava on some level relative to that level, like the other Chayis, the other angels, which are called Chayis, namely Pnei Aryeh, Pnei Shoy, Pnei Nesher, the lion, the ox, and the eagle. So we understand, therefore, that's the unit of birur. That's avodas haberurim. The avodah of the behema and even Pnei Adam as it's shaykh to chayes hakodesh. Aval maui inyan birur neshama achse neshama acheres. What's the inyan of a birur of one neshama through another neshama? Neshama requires birur, and what does it mean? It's barred through another neshama. Behema needs a birur, or the Pnei Adam should merkava, which is on a level of also of Behim of Chayes. Questions clear? Yeah? The Pasuk says in Yoel, referring to Lasid Lavari, the Eibishter says, V'zarati is base Israel, I will seed the house of Israel, Zera Odom or Zera Behema, the seed of man and the seed of beast. Rashi says there, it's a few pirushim, but the first pirush is ha'toivim v'asichim shebehem, the good and the foolish amongst them, and the azarim kulom li zera sheli, I will seed them all to be my seed. And he brings some Targum Yonis on that the meaning is I will increase the Yidden to make them succeed or increase like a beast. Another point he has, like a beast who's Avedis. She never Nisan Nifkod Nalad that whose sins are not literally counted against her, so too then Yidden will be blameless. That's the second Pirush. But the first Pirush, even all Pirushim, is referring to Yidden. Even Zera Behema refers to Yidden. So that's a Meridik Pasuk that says there's the union of Zera Behema. So what is Mavu Baruch? Even in Rashi, we see already it means fools. Mavu Baruch, the first Pirush. Baruch B'Torah. So the Shaili is, there'll be fools lost at love. Molor, it's there as Hashem. The world is filled with knowledge of God. How can there be fools? And he's talking about lost at love. The pasuk concludes, yeah, well, it's a whole hemshech of psukim of. So the answer is because this is a darga that needs a birur. So that's what we're talking about right now. So so the Alter explains Parshas Mishpatim sheyesh neshomesh nikra mishem zera odom. There are neshomes which are called zera odom. Yesh neshomesh nikra mishem zera behema. And there are neshomes which are called zera behema, the seed of an animal. What is this? Klolos in the Bezeh and the general Yiddish and neshomes the biyah. That's us. Neshomes the biyah. We're not just biyah. We're asiyah malchus the asiyah. Sheshomas hina yeshes umetzias. That's where sense of independence begins. Like we said in the square brackets, like similar to what we said before in Sifei bin Kirvas Selikim Litoiv, that there's a madrega of Avas Hashem where Yiddishkeit, godliness is wonderful for me. Shigam betachlis aliyah, so it's all yeshes ultimately. Shigam betachlis aliyah, even the highest level within this category is a beif and the litoiv. It's good for me. So if that it's what it's about, it's good for me. Nikroi b'shem zera behema. So this is in the neshama that is zera behema. I told you once that I just happened to hear on a CBC program the days I used to listen to the radio, and that was when I used to come from Shamani in those days. And I mean, there were tapes and stuff, but very, very wasn't really available. So I became a fan of many programs from CBC, Tapestry, many other, as it happens, many other. One of them still going. Akaponim, so I remember that some philosopher said, was quoting some philosopher, and he said that all human endeavor can be distilled to the following very simple formula or equation: the pursuit of pleasure and the distance from pain. Now, the pleasures and pains differ in terms of our sophistication, but it comes down to the same thing, and that's inescapable. It's inescapable. Somebody's pleasure is very coarse and material, and the other one is more refined in art and in doing acts of goodness and kindness, makes him feel good. Makes me feel good. That's what drives everything. So that is Zera Behema. That's neshamas of biyah. They can't escape that on their own. In terms of their own. Ein chavash matres atzmi beis asur. When a person is tied up, can't undo himself. You're in a straitjacket, you're in a prison, someone from the outside to unlock it or pull the string, the bow, and undo you. So that's where we are. Therefore, the need is, it goes on to say, for this bir. That's the second level of mila. But that's neshamas of what of biyah. Then there's neshamas atzilos, the lofty neshamas. Atzilos, you will remember, answer this question. What dominates Atzilus? What darga dominates Atzilus as opposed to Biyah, B'riya, Yitzir, Nasir? It's not just copy paste. The same 10 spheres just dimmed because of Tzimtzum. It's a whole different oifi. It's a whole different experience in each world, not just the same thing lower. And what dominates Atzilus? You would say Chacham, you'd be right. And what dominates B'riya is Havana. I understand. What dominates Yitzir is the Midas. What dominates Asiya is Malchus. Is just the word, action, behavior. So Atzilus altogether suffused with Bittul. That's Neshama's Atzilus. It's a whole different, it's a different world, literally. So that's Zera Adam. Back in the, now in the square brackets. On both levels, the pasuk says, "V'zarati, I will seed the koil al Adam ha'elyon shel hakisei." So now, b'pnimius, the Adam ha'elyon shel hakisei, that's Atzilus, that's Zera Adam. Hainu shegam neshamas the biyah nimshachim b'chinas v'zarati. I will seed both, even the lower levels. I'm sorry, clearer. Who is doing the seeding? V'zarati, that's the Adam ha'elyon shel hakisei. And I will see the Zera Adam and Zera Behema, which means Gam Neshamas the Biyad, Imshach, B'chinim Zerati will get inspired by the Neshamas of Atzilus, lifted by the Neshamas of Atzilus. I mean, Neshamas of Atzilus, they couldn't Zera Adam, just like Neshamas of Atzilus. So let's look how the pasuk is touched. The Zerati says, it's like, it seems to be touched like this. I will seed the seeds of Zera Adam in the Zera Behema. It's not exactly the Pasha the Pshat even, because the Pasha Pshat is I will seed, and then this and that, seeding two things. He's teaching you V'zarati Zera Adam. I will seed, inspire, lift with the level of the Neshama Datzilis. Who Zera Behema? Neshama Sabiyah. That's a different type. It seems. Follow? Now, a Prat Yis in more detail. Because everything is integrated. Everything is reflected in everything. Every detail, every part reflects the whole. We constantly seeing this in Chassidus, right? That's why the operative word and understanding everything in Chassidus is it's relative. You ask a kasha, but this darga said was that. Now it's all relative. Yas Davis would laugh because as a kid they throw this out. It's relative. Depends where you're speaking. Oh, it's the answer for everything. It is the answer to everything because it's one God and He's manifesting Himself in all of these ways. But the one that pervades all of it, it's all reflected endlessly, all the dargas in every darga. So Prati says in the Gam ben Neshamas the Biyah Gufa, even in the Neshamas of Biyah that's us. Yesh Tachilik ben Zera Adam Zera Behema. There's also these two levels. And like what there's a Neshamas that Tzilas Gufa. There's the Chabad and the Neshamas and Chagas Neshamas. There's this Chiluk Erech, there's this distinction between Neshama and Neshama. But to the extent like Chiluk Erech Shebeduk B'Sachiluk Shebein Zera Behema Zera Adam. The distinction is so profound that even though it's in the world of Atzilus, it's still there. We could say this is Zera Adam, Zera Behema. Again, like Neshamas that are dominated more by the higher levels of Atzilus, defining them, Chabad and Zera Behema, Chagas. V'al pi zeh muven you know, the world has a problem with Chabad because the accusation is chauvinistic. What can you do? This is Neshama Chadasha, the Pnimius. For some reason, I've just caught on this because someone's reading it. The Ashlag dynasty, Ashlag dynasty. He wrote a famous. Yes, today, grandchildren, Rebbes. He comes actually from Bells originally. Yeah, it was in the news. That's why, because one of the grandchildren just made a whole new. The grandfather wrote a pirish called the Sulam. We have it here in the library. It's one of the first, probably the first translation of the Zohar with commentary. I can remember growing up that we didn't, we stayed away from it. It wasn't, not that it was even available, but heard of it. So now, the grandchild, whatever, came out with a very elaborate Pirush on the Zohar, and he brings, it's not just the Sulam of his Zayde, but from Chassidus. I'm not being from Chabad Chassidus, Stame. And it's on the news. He brought to the Belzer Rebbe, and the Belzer Rebbe is looking at it and asking questions, and it's very nice. So it just prompted me to do a little bit of research of what's our attitude. So I see there's a video where maybe the same author comes by the Rebbe for dollars, and he wants the Rebbe to informally endorse, come out with a sign or sign a kalkoira that people should learn Kabbalah, Pnimis HaTorah. It's all in line with Chabad, as Achana for Bias and Mashiach, and therefore to promote the study of Zohar, etc., and this work. And the Rebbe encouraged him too. He said, I can't sign it. He says, because, how did the Rebbe put it? By signing it, I'm saying, the Rebbe is saying, he said, by signing it, I'm saying that you don't get this inyan of Kabbalah and Zohar and so on. In Zohar, in Chassidus Chabad, you have to learn this. The Alter Rebbe's whole shita is to bring, and it's all Kabbalah and Zohar, it brings it down in the way of what? Of Chacham bin Vadas. And the emesis we're learning right here. Why? Because it's higher, Madrege. Chacham Datzilis. Everything else, Takan the Shamas, Gevoyas, and everything else, but it's the words of the Pasuk, Zera Behema, not in the disparaging way. It's Neshamas Datzilis. So this is a Kabbalah Pirush, but not Chassidus Chabad. Chassidus Chabad, as we all know, is it's not just more intellectual, but it goes on the etzem, in Yon Shteres Chassidus, Yechida. It's a whole different limud. Nonetheless, we have the Sefer and we use it.
These madrigas in Nishmas Adam, are they distinct or are they flowing? So the lowest madriga, the lowest neshama in Atzilus, and the highest neshama in Bria, are they very close to each other, or are they completely different?
Still, the answer is yes and no. They're close externally, but the Pnimius, this is the big divide. The big divide is essentially, relatively, the starting point. Self or God, where the love starts from. God is revealed, therefore I love him, or I love God. It's still, there's a huge divide between Atzilus, so much so that we speak about the tzimtzum between Atzilus and Biaz, not like at the tzimtzum between the Ein Sof and Atzilus, but also very radical. There is a chassid, I'm not going to say his name, he's a contemporary chassid, and he's a big chassid. And he would,
Who?
what?
Who?
I don't say his name because and he by the oil. I mean, if he's by the oil a lot and Fabrengs, and this is like his strong. No, it's not so much now, but it was his strong theme. He would use stronger words. Is that a behemoth? Is that autumn? Just stronger words. Eliezer wanted his daughter to marry Yitzchak, and he was told, "Your order," and he's Baruch. Servants, he would use that language. That's a little bit extreme, but here, is that a behemoth? Is that Adam? He would, like Chassidim would say, when we look at the tzaddik, we're looking with, in the words of Chassidim, kelbish eigen, a calf's eyes, cute, nice, but it's a calf's eyes. And and human nature is you what's the word? You superimpose, you transpose, you view something through your own lens, and that's what you're seeing, that which you relate to yourself. And so completely under Inyan. So it's a Zera Adam. You're looking with the eyes of Zera Behemoth. So continuing, so likewise in Atzilus Guf, now concluding there, so the pasuk says, quoted yesterday, also referring to Lasid Lavoi, you will eat food to your satisfaction. This is double lotion. V'achaltem l'soiva is enough. V'achaltem ochel. Because he's saying that there's a union of ochel that's already in this butter. Bitter one has happened already. And then there's going to be the second bitter. So this is all to explain that. V'achaltem ochel kilfi erach g'dal l'tzad love. Why is it another bitter? Achila means a bitter. Because relative to the great revelation that we'll experience then, which is basically Atzilus, Nigam neshamas shebchinas zer adam, even the shamas of zer adam. Now you're saying all of them. Yeh nechshavim b'chinas zer adam, a relative. Atzilus relative to the Gilur. I just said Atzilus. No, so it itself mamash atmos. So relative to the revelation, then even the shamas Atzilus is zer adam. That's the new neshamas will come. Well, as we explained yesterday, new level unlocked. Therefore, they will need to begin to undergo a bir. A whole new level of bitl, that will affect the most lofty level. It's already Michael. It's the Shama Datzilus. And yet, even the Shama Datzilus undergo a bitter. Like we said before, there's two levels of Mila. Not you shall remove your blocked hearts. That's the avodah we do now. The Eibishter will do that, and he said before, that's the Gilui of the Chelek Lakami Mal Mamish. That's what's meant by the Neshamas Chadoshes. The Gilui Yechid Mamish, that's the Neshama Chadosh in general. You will eat food to your satisfaction. The pasuk includes Vilaltem Hashem Elokeichem, when you will praise God, your Lord Asher Osi Imachim Lahafli, that has performed or done for you Lahafli in a wondrous way. What's the Pella Lahafli? You're eating food. What's the Pella of eating food at the Pshat level? What's the wonder here? But you understand now, Lahafli Daike. Pella means a revelation that's Pella, that's wondrous, that's beyond even the perfection of Atzilus. The perfection that a person can reach through his avodah of his own circumcision of his heart. Tachlis hashlemus of a person. There will be a wondrous revelation and connection experience that is therefore truly wondrous. Pella. Because that's going to be a completely level that we can't access on our own. And I will feed you this, as it were. It's called Pella wonder. And the ascent is going to be also wondrous, endless. Given Shali's him, I didn't catch the ascent will be without end. Will be in Gan Eden. Like we said before about Gan Eden, even though Chazal speak of two categories, Gan Eden HaTachton, Gan Eden the Elyon, the lower and the higher. Both categories incorporate endless aliyahs. We quoted this earlier. They will praise you. Sela means forever. Right? You brought that pasuk before. In the context, I forgot. Someone find it. Explain the whole pasuk. They're referring to Malachim. Maybe where was it first? Yitzim Bashir, the aliyahs. Yeah, that's the shear. The shear is the collar of the behemoth, which Chassidus touches is the shear. Kol bali shear, barely shear, Yitzim Bashir. That's the aliyahs that happens on Shabbos. Kedoshim b'cholim aluluch hasela. Kedoshim goes on the Shabbos. Yalaluch will praise you, sela endlessly, eternally. That's ultimately lasted love. And referring to these the aliyahs in Gan Eden, which mean now and lasted love. Okay. Yeah, more or less. Oisches. Where do you think coming, friends? We don't get often that the Rebbe should speak about what happens to a tzaddik in his aliyahs. Here we do. This is a mind of Tmuz. So this is also the aliyah that happens by neshama of a tzaddik. You just finished saying that even the neshama of Atzilus, compared to lost love, yazer behemoth. And there's going to be an aliyah lahafli. V'achaltem ochel v'savua. So especially by Yom Shaloi, especially on his Yom Midishana b'shana every year. It's explained in the Sichas of the Hu Simcha and Gula we celebrate today, where the Rabbi speaks about the of Yom She'oz oilam heichal heichal, he ascends from chamber to chamber. Now, he's moving away from us. We'll soon see. This aliyah is in a way of another tzir completely. So much so that the new tzir, the new level, is incomparable to the previous one, despite its loftiness. Therefore, there's this this pillar, which not separates but connects. Is battling. The previous things are over. They're not compared, incomparable to the new aliyah. So much so that the new level is called Gan Eden Elyon. Afilu legabe kol hasagas b'eifan achin naila shoyetzli b'avidas b'yamim relative to all of what he grasped and the tremendous avodah in the years previously. This is now called Gan Eden Elyon, the new level. Given Shazel Aliyah Shlei Be'erach, it's incomparable b'eifan to v'lahafli, as we just said before, as the pasuk concludes. The Lashon HaPasuk, V'yilaltem M'shem Hashem L'keichem Asher Osim Machem L'hafli. So it sounds like he's moving away from us. No. V'oid Zoishin De V'lahafli Hu Gam. I just want to tell you, by Chassidim, by the Rebbe, this was the subject of Fabrengens very often. The Hainu. In the same way that, you have to be careful here, that the Chassidim of Deir HaShvi would be, I want to be critical, but they would demand that the Chassidim of Deir HaShishi, you're stuck in Deir HaShishi, it's Deir HaShvi. And it's a radical change. The tzir of the Deir HaShishi Chassid is not the tzir of Deir HaShvi. In Deir HaShvi Gufa, now this is the internal Fabrengens, the young Chassidim, the young guys would needle, the older Chassidim, he's stuck in the Yud, this guy's stuck in the Chavs, relatively, he's stuck in the Lamas, the Mems. The Rebbe himself, the tzir changed. In many ways, the etzim is all the same. The etzim is the same, never changes. But the language and the relationship even and the tzir, we used to say like this. I mean, this is just our, the first 10 years was Tata was a very fatherly relationship, but literally very close, that it was involved in people's lives in the most, personal way. The door, in the beginning, door was open, you knocked, you walked in. So the first year was Tata, first 10 years. I'm not saying this is true necessarily, but second 10 years, the Chavs, the Rebbe, teacher, the Rashi Sichas, the Fabrengens, and Lamed started Melech. And the Mems, that's what was in the Mems, we stopped there. So Mems started Tkuf and Mashiach. But that's just the language we use, but there's truth to that. Not reinventing himself, but engaging the world in deeper and deeper ways till Bias Mashiach, evolution. This is one of the big, kindness and the Bamish the world doesn't stand either. And the other Siddim, it's locked in, and that's it. It starts with the first one, and it's just maintenance. This is what we do, this is the minhagim, this is the dress, and all Siddim is that way. And the new Rebbe is really basically symbolic. He's a symbolic figure that continues. Actually, I'll put it to you this way. I think I told you this once. Norman Lam, Olav Shalom, the president of Shiv University, big Talmud Chacham. He wrote an insightful article in 1977 in either YU publication, it could have been, no, it was in a newspaper. Then was the terrible war between Satmar and Lubavitch. Without going to the whole story now, Lamed Zayin. It was sparked by Entebbe, and that really, the tinderbox. They have a big miracle, and in Satmar, Maisha Sat. So he explains to the readership what's the root of this. It's not just fraternize with Freiyid and not fraternize with Freiyid and Zionist, not Zionist. So the root of it is in Satmar, and it's true of all of them, especially Satmar, every generation gets less. It's a Gemara. It's a Gemara. If the first generations were like men, we are like angels, we're like men. If they are like men, we're like behemoths. They're not even like the behemoth of Pinchas ben Yoda. They would not eat untithed grain. It was a famous Gemara. You did the Sadaitis. I pick up bullets, you did the Sadaitis. You see this? So for them, it gets less. They go so much so that the shit of the Bioilish of Satmar was that nishtachach teres Shem. We've lost it. We lost the plot. We don't know what it wants. So they're not really, that's considered themselves a hemshech, not even a hemshech of the Baal Shem Tov, because it's forgotten. Now he has a whole shit there. In Lubavitch, he says each Rebbe is mamala mokim and higher. What's this? They hold that Rebbe is higher than the Baal Shem Tov. And what's more unsettling is, like it's good reason that they say that. It's not like wishful thinking. So that's really the thing, it's a completely different worldview. Like, are we going down or are we going up? And I'm just saying that in the Rebbe's in Siyas Gufa, it's higher and higher and higher. And you Mivtzoyim, and then you Mivtza, and then you Inyan, and the Fabrengen evolved and changed, not the same Fabrengen as the early years. The previous Siyar is this battle and then Yutzir. And it's easier to get, if you were a Bacher and the Chafs, to remain there. But the Chassid lives with the Rebbe, and he reinvents himself, as it were. It's no longer this. That's the foundation. We're not discarding it. It's now next level, deeper. So there is this inyan of what? Of even if somebody's that Tzilas, and Yutzir. But now he says, okay, we're already 7. I want to tell a quick story. It's important. Tomorrow, there's nothing is going Aliyah further and further away from us. That I was going to say, Adarab, it's connected more with us.